catastrophe. And I know many, many, many people have been affected. And my heart and my blood tears go out to everyone, especially those who've been deeply affected or whose family members have had their lives change as a result of this. None of us are innocent, and we're all affected by this. So we don't have much time, and so I need to discuss some of these topics for COVID that Fabian wants recommended. But those who know me know that I'm pretty much a man of very few words. So I need to make sure that Allison, you laughing? No comments. So I need to just make sure that we sort of get through this, and we hopefully will have plenty of time to answer some questions. But Fabian wanted to know, how bad is it? California is on lockdown. Why are we on lockdown? Because the hospital beds, there are no hospital beds. That's why. That's the reason. So if you go to the hospital, if you're sick or ill and you go to the hospital, you may not be seen, or you may not be able to stay. So that's why we're on lockdown. We're looking at 2,000 to 3,000 deaths a day. And the reason is because, well, look, okay, LA is a population of about 13 million, but we have 500,000 people infected. And that number is probably double or triple. So that means 1 out of every 10 people you probably come in contact have exposure to the COVID virus. That's why we're on lockdown. Everybody's affected. And the list is long. Our jobs, our homes, so many. The list is long. Everyone's affected by this. And it's a bad day in the neighborhood, period. It's a bad day. And we got to be good to our neighbors. We've had bad days and we've gotten through them. And hopefully with the vaccine, we'll be able to move beyond this. It's important to recognize that the reason we're doing this is so that we don't get sick and we don't have to go to the hospital, don't even have to drive by a hospital, because we may not be taken care of. Hospitals may have to triage, and I know people know what triage means. That basically means that whoever comes in the hospital, we're going to look at you. Do we have the resources to take care of you? Are you in the shape that we can take care of you? If not, we have to let you go. We have to send you home. You have to go back with your family. And that's a bad situation.
Go ahead. Yes. I have no problem. And you can take these ones too. And
that's a bad situation.
One.
And everybody make sure you're on mute.
So regarding transmission.
No, here, let me get it up. Yeah, let's just put it under there. That way I won't mess it up.
So, transmission is the problem. And the problem is because the virus is invisible. Okay? Patients are asymptomatic. We don't feel any symptoms when we're most infectious. It's not until maybe 3, 4, 5 days later that we may have the signs and symptoms. And then all of a sudden, we have to decide what we need to do. We know that the virus spreads through respiratory droplets. Those are known as phromites. They're called phromites, and they remain on the surface. That's why we need to keep the surfaces clean. How long do they remain in the air and on the surface? We don't know, but long enough for us to get sick, long enough for each and one of us to get sick. Everybody's capable of both receiving this virus and transmitting it. And you have to assume that 1 out of 10 people, 15 people have the COVID cooties, period. We all know the game.
Cooties.
Okay, we all know that game. So let me explain some scientific terms for you. The antigen, when they say antigen, that's the virus. Okay, when they say antigen, that is the virus they're talking about. And it has a spike protein that attaches to all human cells. Doesn't matter what you look like, where you're from, what neighborhood, it will attach to you because you're human. And it will also attach to animals. The vaccine came from a bat. And this is not, there's many, many viruses, but there's only a few that have been coming from transfer from animals. And this one has come from a bat. So, you know, what is our prevention? How do we prevent ourselves and others from getting sick? Fabian's already mentioned, we've already been doing this for the last 8 months. We need to mask up, eye protection if we need to, wash your hands, sanitize, socially distant. Basically, don't be breathing on anybody. Don't get so close where you're breathing on people, all right? Don't push up on anyone right now. Get their number and tell them you'll call them back in 6 months after they get the vaccine. I mean, it's reality. It's reality, you know, and the next most important measure is going to be is for us to get the vaccine. Okay, when we get a vaccine, that helps us to develop antibodies, okay, to help fight this vaccine. It's an army that is being called, and your body says, you are foreign, you don't belong here, I'm going to take care of you. That's what antibodies do. And that's what we need to develop in our system. So then what will the antibody do? It'll block that spike protein and prevent the virus, the antigen, from infecting us. That's how that works. That's why it's important. And everyone has taken vaccines all our lives. Our kids, we can't go to school without them. We've all taken them, and they've prevented quite a few diseases that are around the world are still killing everybody. So we've taken them before. But thing about it is, you know, we're going to have to continue these preventive measures, probably for another 6 months or maybe even a year. Why? Because 200 million people have to get the vaccine. That's 2/3 of our population. They have to get the vaccine. So that's why it's challenging. And unfortunately, it's going to be given in phases. And we know those phases. Those that are vulnerable, those that are at risk, those that are elderly, have chronic illnesses, obese, those that need extra attention for their health so they don't get the disease and go into the hospital. So we know that. Okay, and unfortunately, most of us who are healthy, it's going to be a while before we get the vaccine. Okay, now the vaccine, like I said, it helps you build antibodies, but it does not prevent you from being exposed to the vaccine. But if you get the vaccine, or if you get the virus, what the vaccine will help you do is hopefully keep those symptoms at bay and prevent you from going into the hospital. And that's what the vaccine is going to do. We are experimenting. We don't know yet all the information we need to know. But we do know that it helps you prevent severe signs and symptoms. And that's what we want to prevent. We can deal with a lot of symptoms. We've all dealt with half of you come to work sick on any given because we know, me and Marvin get sick from all y'all every single week coming into the clinic. So we know people still are able to move around, do their daily activities, and be infected with something. But those things don't force us to go to the hospital. So that's why we need to take this vaccine. And we have to take it to not just protect us, but to protect others. You know, nothing is 100%. So we have to protect the others so then we don't spread the virus, because the vaccine doesn't prevent you from spreading it. It prevents you from going to the hospital. It doesn't prevent you from spreading it. So you can still spread the vaccine to this point. Okay, so that means that other people are going to have to be vaccinated or have antibodies to protect themselves. And maybe our relatives who are older or who are at risk, they may not even be coming out of the house. So every time when we go in the house, we just got to make sure that we're proper when we walk in that house. I mean, it's not up to us to take anyone else's life. That's not our job right now. That's not what we don't want. It's an easy thing to do to protect ourselves and protect others. And watch out for the fakes, because we all got a guy. We all know somebody, and there are going to be people who are going to have vaccines. We know, like 7-Eleven probably have some vaccines, but I wouldn't recommend taking them. You need to make sure that they are legit, period, because there's going to be a lot of people making a lot of money selling vaccines, and these are supposed to be free. Okay, so if they're charging you, maybe there'll be, if you go to the hospital, there'll be an administration fee, but in general, these vaccines are supposed to be free. Okay, now the world is working on probably 35 vaccines right now, many vaccines, and they've invested billions of dollars. In the US, we've invested over $10 billion in trying to get a vaccine. And people are probably questioning, oh, well, why are we able to get a vaccine now, but we don't have a vaccine for AIDS, or we don't have a vaccine for all these other viruses? Well, it's because this time everyone has been pretty much offered all the money possible and all the time possible without any restrictions, 24 hours a day to work on the virus. That's why. And to remember, this virus that's being developed is not developed by the government, is not developed by businesses. It's from the scientists and the medical professions are the one who are researching these viruses and are going to do test after test after test. But there's still so much that's unknown. There's and I'll get to all the sort of specific areas, but there's still a lot that we don't know. But we do know that, like, when you take a test outside of the hospital, that's a rapid test. When you get into the hospital, that'll be considered, that's something called a PCR, and it's more accurate. Okay, but hopefully you won't have to take that test. You just know you just take the rapid test outside. And maybe they'll develop a test where we can do it at home or in the clinic, and you'll know your results like in 15 minutes. You can do that 2 or 3 times a week. Okay, maybe they'll have that very soon. Right now, I don't know if they don't have that yet. Okay, but if you think that you've been exposed, and everyone here knows if they've been exposed, everyone knows if you've been to a place where there's a bunch of people doing things that you want to do, having the time you want to have, people aren't wearing masks, everyone has an idea. Everybody knows. So you just have to take it upon yourself, and to make sure that, okay, I've been exposed to a bunch of people, or maybe I'm feeling some symptoms, let me go get tested. If you're not feeling symptoms and you're not feeling and you haven't been around a lot of groups of people or taking care of preventive measures, then you don't need to get tested. It's only if you're doing, like in Marvin, having the big football parties, right? I mean, those are the places that you have to worry about. So that's when you go get tested, all right? And it's flu season, and everyone gets the flu. And unfortunately, you can't tell the difference between the flu or COVID. Not at this point. You can't really tell the difference. So, but if you're sick, take a test. And if you take the test, you got to wait at least 3 or 4 days before symptoms may even show up. But they recommend quarantining for at least 10 to 14 days if you feel you've been exposed. It's still 10 to 14 days. Okay, so I think these are things that you guys have been aware of, and yet that you recognize that have been discussed. I threw a lot of scientific terms out there, but the reality also is that reinfection does occur. They do have cases of people who've been infected with COVID, and they didn't build enough antibodies to last. Sometimes, apparently, science says that the antibodies, once you've been exposed, may last about 3 months. So that's why we may have to have a second vaccine, because we're not sure yet how long the antibodies can last. A lot of vaccines that we've had, they were done when we were children, and we may get a tetanus booster or a pneumococcal flu vaccine booster once a year or something like that. But we're not sure. It'll be nice if we take 1 shot now, 2 shots now, and then not have to take it for a while. But we don't know yet. So we got to be ready just in case. Either way, you got to protect yourself and protect others. You know, so some specific areas like, you know, some of the symptoms, I know you've heard this, but some of the symptoms for COVID: fever, muscle aches, fatigue, cough, sore throat. Those are things you hear all the time for just about everything we get sick for. You know, then it may go to shortness of breath, then respiratory depression, right? You may have some nausea, vomiting. So there's all kinds of symptoms. But the difference between the flu and COVID is that with the flu symptoms, when you get the symptoms and you feel the symptoms, that's when you're most infectious. Your nose is running, you're coughing, that's when you're most infectious. But with COVID, the most infectious time is a week before you start showing symptoms. That's why it's dangerous. That's the whole reason why it's dangerous. Right now, 80% of the cases of people who get COVID, they're healthy. They beat it. They're mild. They get through it. But there are at least 5% that are very critical. So 5 out of 100 people getting really, really sick. So it's something to be considered. You know, right now, COVID is the #1 cause of death. It used to be, and for many years, it's always heart problems and cancer. Those are the 2 main reasons people pass every year.
Right.
But now it's COVID. So let me just talk a little bit about those who, when the vaccines are available, who will receive them. The first phase of people that are going to receive the vaccines are going to be high risk workers, first responders, older patients, patients with severe medical conditions. Second phase is going to be teachers, staff, critical workers, people with moderate sort of medical issues, homeless, those working, living in shelters and group homes and prisons. They get the second phase, okay? Who gets the third phase, which is probably going to be like in February or March, is going to be children or young adults, healthy people. They have not done any vaccine studies on children under 16, on women who are pregnant, on people with HIV or Hep C, or those with immunocompromised diseases. They haven't done any of those yet. We don't know what the research is on a lot of that information yet. And then the fourth phase is going to be pretty much everybody else. If you're upright, walking, strong as an ox, most likely you're going to get yours after March. So in the meantime, again, we got to be careful. We can't be getting fraudulent vaccines, and don't go to that guy you know. All right, we just have to make sure we follow through. Now, there are a couple of questions I want to answer regarding pregnancy. If you are pregnant, you cannot get the vaccine. So you need to stay away from everybody and stay healthy. That's it. There's no research. Now, if you're thinking about getting pregnant in next year, wait till you get the vaccine. Then go ahead and have your baby. But if you're pregnant right now, you can't get the vaccine. You're not going to be, they don't have the research. We don't know what can happen. We know that the virus can infect every single organ in your body. That's what we do know. So baby can't be infected. So right now, don't recommend it. And people are talking about, okay, well, what medication can I take? You can take acetaminophen, you can take NSAIDs if you have fever, aches and pains, sort of the standard. Obviously, you got to be careful with those because they can affect your kidney and your liver, but you still can take those in moderation. But as far as antibiotics, those only work for bacteria. They do not work for viruses at all. And now, if you have a bacterial infection, then go ahead and take get some antibiotics. But otherwise, they're not going to help. That remdesivir, that's not going to help. That's not going to help. I mean, there's early trials about that, but that's been used on people very severely ill, but that's not recommended. Steroids, those who take asthma, those who are taking steroids for certain reasons, you continue to take them for your illnesses, but don't double up just because you think it's going to help you with the virus. There's no research done. We don't have research done on kids younger than 16. We don't know that research yet. We don't know the long-term effects. Okay, there are many viruses that we're all exposed to that we get as a child that sometimes things pop up as an adult. Okay, I mean, let's be honest. If you've been exposed to chickenpox or not, you may get the shingles later in life. If you've been exposed to HPV, you may get cervical cancer and later in life. There's many things we don't know about this virus. So the best protection is to protect yourself and use those preventive measures and make sure you protect those that you care about. So, you know, I can go on a little bit, but I do want to say that you practice precaution. Okay, don't increase your risk of getting sick and don't cause others to get sick. You know, and I personally, I mean, I value each and every one of you. All of you, all those that I know, you all matter. No matter what daily nonsense you come into Homeboys with. It doesn't matter what nonsense you bring to Homeboys. We are family, period. And we want the very best for each and every one of you. So, we want your family to be healthy. And that's most important. And me personally, I'm going to get my vaccine, but I'm going to get mine after Tom and Hector get theirs. Once they get theirs, I'm probably going to wait about a month or so. And I'm going to see if they grow a third eye or if there's any issues. Then I will get my vaccine. And that'll hopefully be before Father G, Father Mark. And I don't want them getting their vaccines yet either. So then at that point, I'll be third in line. There's no doubt. You can witness it. I'll be right there. But until then, we just got to make sure that we stay healthy. So I'm up for questions. I wish you all the best. And my heart goes out to you and your families. And I'm glad we're having this conversation today.
Thank you, Troy.
Any questions? Any questions? Any concerns? Any complaints? If you have any complaints at all, send them to Gabriel. Gabriel will handle all the complaints.
Troy, can you talk real quick about when we should wear our masks?
About what?
When and how we should wear our masks. Some people wear it, down here.
You gotta cover the areas where you breathe. If you breathe through your mouth or through your nose, you have to cover those. Squeeze the tip, bring it here. It doesn't make sense. Half of you come to the clinic half the year with runny noses. You developed the virus through your nose and your mouth. So keep your nose covered and keep your mouth covered. That's all. That's all you have to do. And wear it every time you're around somebody that you're in close contact with. You can be 6 feet apart, 10 feet apart, but don't yell and scream. Don't be spitting on people because the fromites are in the air. When you spit, those fromites are going to be hanging in the air. So just keep it when you're enclosed, in an enclosed environment. That's why we have not been able to open up the tattoo removal, because we're in an enclosed environment. We have to make sure that we have air circulating. We can't knock that big window out and have it open for everybody. I wish we could. I wish we could have a tent outside and we could do it nonstop, but the machines are too valuable. The air and the weather could destroy the machine, so we can't do that. So we've been closed because that's an enclosed environment, and we need to wear masks, covering the nose, covering the mouth. That's it. That's the best way. And in closed environments, if you're inside, homeboys, you got to close up, because all we need are some people that decide not to do it and then expose everybody. Then what do we have to do? Close homeboys down, close the tattoo removal program down. We can't do that every other week. So we need to make sure if you come in, cover your nose, cover your mouth. If your nose isn't covered, you're not doing the job. You got half the job. That's it. And if you want to do half the job, you want to get paid for half the job? You want your full salary? You want to get paid for half the salary? No, you want you want every ducat that you can get, every dollar that you deserve. Cover your nose. Don't be half-time. Don't be half. Be 100% with covering your nose and covering your mouth in enclosed environments. When you're in the lot, when you're in the parking lot, when you're outside, just stand 6 feet, 10 feet away. You don't have to have your mask on. So, but just don't spit. Don't be yelling. Don't scream. Just talk naturally. If you want to keep it on your mouth when you're outside, when you're close to somebody, okay, but have sense about how it works. The virus sheds through respiratory fomites, your nose and your mouth. That's it. Okay? Anything else, Fabian?
Thank you, Troy. We have 2 questions, which we'll hold off a little bit. So if we can transition to Donna. Donna's going to talk a little bit about how it impacts the innocent, those who aren't out and about, and share an example of it. So thank you, Troy. Appreciate all the info.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Troy. And thank you,
You're
Fabian.
welcome.
And it's good to see everyone here today. And as Fabian said, I'm here to talk a little bit about how even if you yourself don't get sick, and even if your experience of COVID isn't that bad, how it can impact other people and can potentially lead to other people losing their lives. And I know that's a very serious thing to say, but that's the reality of what's happening. 200,000 people got COVID from someone else. And that's why it's so important for us to be careful. And to give an example of how easily that could happen, I don't know how many of you might have heard about the wedding that took place in Maine in August. So there was a wedding that took place on August 7th in Maine. So Maine is a small state in the eastern United States. In the east, in the north, it's very rural. This town that the wedding took place at, the population was 4,500 people. And up until that point in August, they had 0 cases of COVID. Okay. And so they were supposed to, the regulations at the time were you could have gatherings of 50 people. The gathering was actually 55 people, so it was above the regulations, and you could only have a gathering if everyone wore masks and socially distanced. But what happened at the wedding, because obviously it's a wedding, and when you're with a group of people, you're eating, people are taking their masks off, people are dancing, so they're getting close to each other. So the social distancing and the mask wearing did not happen for the whole wedding, right? And no one at the wedding had any symptoms. They did the temperature check just like we do outside Homeboy. No one had a temperature. No one felt sick. People had come from out of town and they had tested, and so they had negative tests. But a few days after the wedding, on August 12th, a few people tested positive for COVID. And so then the state started looking into it, and they found out there was one wedding guest who was from Maine who had COVID at the wedding. He didn't know he did because he didn't get any symptoms until the day after. So he's at the wedding, he's totally fine. The next day he gets sick. And then from that Guess how many people got infected with COVID from that wedding? Anyone have a guess?
Everybody.
So I saw Allison said 40. Someone said everybody.
4,000.
Okay, 4,000. That one's high. So 177 people got infected with COVID from that wedding. So that's obviously way more than the 55 who were at the wedding. And the really tragic part is 7 people died. And the most tragic part is none of those 7 people were at the wedding. Okay, so 7 people who did not make the choice to go to a wedding, who did not gather in a group, died because of this choice to have this wedding where people did not distance and did not wear masks. So how did that happen? So one person who was at the wedding actually worked at a prison. So that person goes back to their job at the prison, and about over 50 people or 82 people at the prison get infected because of that one person who worked at the prison who attended the wedding. A second person who was at the wedding ends up seeing someone else who works at a nursing home. Okay, so the person who works at the nursing home didn't go to the wedding, right? They just saw their friend who did go to the wedding. Did they know the friend went to the wedding or not? Who knows? That person then goes to work, and 6 people at the nursing home end up dying. Okay, and then there's another person who was not at a nursing home, but people who were at the wedding just seeing their people in the community, an additional 30 people just in the community, not in a nursing home, not in a prison, end up getting infected. So it's just an example of how we don't know what the consequences of our actions will be. And the consequences will probably be things that we don't even feel directly. It's people that we're not even in community with directly or in relationship with, but at Homeboy, our values are kinship, right? And are expanding the circle of kinship and of who we're in relationship with. And so I think it's really important for us to think about the people that we can't see, like people who are in nursing homes, people who are incarcerated right now. I know we all have loved ones who are incarcerated, and it can be hard to realize that our actions here, like not wearing a mask, being close to someone, can impact them, and it can be a real life or death scenario. So that's what I had to share. Thanks for the opportunity. And I'm just really proud to be part of a community that is taking it seriously, and we keep, showing up the best way we can for each other.
Thank you, Donna. Appreciate that. Now we're gonna shift to Boris. I don't know that I see him. Boris, are you on?
Yes, I am.
All right. So Boris is gonna share a little bit about his experience, and hopefully that helps encourage you to be safe as well. So go for it, Boris.
Hey, how you guys doing today? Good morning, Homeboy family. Okay, you guys see me? Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you to Troy and to Donna. That was very powerful. These subjects are very touching. They're very, it's so hard. It's so overwhelming, especially when it hits you and your family and your loved ones. Sadly to say, this past May, my mom passed away from COVID-19. And it's tough. I'm saying? It's very tough. My mom just happened to make a decision that day. I remember just saying that, hey, I want to go visit my sister. She wanted to go visit my sister and her grandkids, and I didn't want her to go. But my mom, she was being a little stubborn. And I just remember as she left that same week is when we got the news that she was already in the hospital, and that she went to intensive care. My sister was sick. My nephew was running in and out of the house, and sadly to say, he brought the virus there and it spread it to the entire family. Within that week, in 2 weeks, my mom had passed away. We didn't know what to expect because, this COVID thing was just coming out of the news. We were like figuring it out. Okay, is she gonna make it? The doctors didn't even know what to say to us. It was just every day was just. I remember us me and my brother just standing by the phone. Sorry guys, this is a hard topic. And mom, we did talk to her on the phone. And we told her we love her. Not knowing that like a week later she passed away, And to this day we don't have any closure. It's impacted our family very hard because now my dad is struggling because his longtime partner is no longer there, you know what I'm saying? So for us, every day hearing this word COVID, coronavirus, it's some serious stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because it hits everybody in a different way, like Donna and Troy was sharing with us right now. And every day I cannot walk here without even thinking about that word, and then knowing that I lost my mom to that. So that's the most difficult thing. And and we do have to take care of ourselves, you know what I'm saying? And because you never know, we don't know, and it's hard, you know what I'm saying? Can you guys hear me? See me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Somebody was calling me on the other line. I don't know who it is. Sorry, guys. So, I this story, I'm kind of, I get a little stuck on there because, I can talk about my mom day in and day out. But for those, that we've lost our families and loved ones, the thing is, the sad thing is that we cannot see our loved ones while they're in the hospital. We cannot see them. And the day that she passed away, the only thing that could be done was my brother was to go to the hospital through a glass window, see her from a long distance. He had to be geared up. And as he got her back home, a half hour later, that's when she passed away, So, yeah, it's been a tough, I just want to say thank you for a lot of people from Homeboys that have been uplifting my soul. Keeping me on fire, man, because without you guys, I don't know what to do, man, because it's been really hard. I hide a lot of my feelings, my pains, you know what I'm saying? And it's just no closure. I don't have no closure, and I don't, you know what I'm saying? Just because of this coronavirus. But, today I have the courage to come out here to talk to everybody here, whoever's watching us in Zoom right now, the Homeboy family. I want to say thank you guys because I needed to talk about this. I needed to let it out of my system so that I can feel like myself, because these past months, I haven't been myself. I hide it quite well, but I know that everyone's here, whoever's listening, I know I'm impacting someone's life right here, right now. So, and I want you guys to take this to the heart, and this is all pure awareness. And yeah, it's great, and I thank you guys for giving me that opportunity to share whatever I could right now at this very moment, because it's still hard. I'm still processing. My family, we're still grieving. Grieving could take up to a few years, It could take up to a couple of months, who knows? But we're doing it. We're trying to manage everything as best as we can, and I'm just grateful for life, and just gotta keep our heads up above the water, guys. You know what I'm saying? So I love you guys, and thank you guys for giving me this time to talk to you guys.
Boris, I love you.
God bless you, Boris.
I love you.
I'm praying for you.
Love you guys.
Love you, brother.
God bless you, Boris.
Bye, Boris.
God bless you. You're a good man.
Love you guys, all you guys. You guys
I love you
Stay
more.
safe, man.
Thank you, Boris.
Stay safe, Boris.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for that.
Stay strong.
Thank you for that.
Thank you guys, all you guys. You guys are all amazing.
No, just me.
You're great.
She's out of control. You're amazing, Boris.
You
No, you're...
only tell me that, Boris. You better use another word for every fucking buddy else.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, honey, yeah.
That's the family, Homeboy family, guys.
Thank you, Boris.
We love you. Our prayers are with you.
Thank you guys. Love you all, you guys too. You guys are all amazing.
We can take a moment with Father Mark. to jump in and do a prayer for Boris and his family and for all of us, Father Mark, all of us who are struggling, all of us who have lost friends or family. So go for
Thank
it.
you, Fabian. Thank you.
Thanks, Boris.
Boy, my heart goes out to you, Boris. That was, it's so painful to hear people going through what you had to go through, what you
By the way, I'm not Christmas shopping this year.
and also your witness. I mean, it's somebody. Okay, so anyway, and your witness, because it is something we need to take very seriously, and I'm grateful to Donna and for Troy, because you know, it's awareness. It's something very serious, very contagious, which means, you know, you can catch it and
pass it
on. And my heart goes out to you, Boris.
Okay.
And,
I found this on the web for it's very cat contagious, which means, you know, you can.
oh my goodness, my all of a sudden the Siri on my phone just heard that and let me turn it over. I don't.
Sherry, you wanted to say something too?
Siri wanted to say something. It said contagious. Oh, it doesn't trigger it again. Anyway, yeah. So I'm so you, Boris, and I know grieving and loss, and I know others as well who have called me in tears with their losses. Other people have called me who are going through a difficult time, because even people who sometimes there's no symptoms, but sometimes there are serious symptoms, and people are it's scary. And I've had many a call of people having difficulty breathing and you know, other symptoms, and they just want to you know, talk to me and pray with me. And so I think that's one of the reasons I'm grateful to be here today to offer a prayer for us, because you know, as Father Greg says, we're a family. This is we're all together here, and you know, I found in the chat, and the things that people were saying to Boris were so uplifting and beautiful, showing that we're you know, we have feelings for each other and we're here to help each other. So I encourage anyone who feels you know, panicked to reach out, because we're a family. And even though I'll offer a prayer now, in the days and weeks and months ahead, you know, I think we're going to need each other. And just offering support and being present is like our own little prayer and way of showing blessing to each other. So for everybody here, I'd like to let's just take a moment of silence. And in this silence, in the silence of our hearts, where we quiet our minds, let's just use that silence to honor those who are suffering and those we've lost, the people who are grieving the loss of people, the people who are in the hospitals who are having a difficult time right now. And allow our hearts and our energy go out to them. And ask God to watch over them and to give them strength at this difficult time, to be with the families. So loving God, here we are in your presence, and, confused, sometimes not always feeling strong. We need help. We need each other. We need your presence in our lives to help us to be kind and compassionate, understanding to others. Help us to find ways to be supportive to each other. Help us to find ways to you know, to take this seriously, so that we don't hurt anyone. us to take the precautions that we need to so that we can care for each other at this difficult time. Help us to learn to find ways to protect ourselves and to protect each other, protect those who are at risk. Ask you to help us to reverence and be grateful for the lives that we have, for the family we have, for everything we have. To watch over us and to protect us, and for those who have gotten the virus, for them to be well, and for those who get it seriously, for them, and that we can be a source of help, support, and prayer for those. And for hearts that are really, broken a little bit because of people we've lost, I ask you to help bring healing to us, and help us to, in this healing, help us to have hearts of gratitude for the presence of these important, beautiful people that we hold in our hearts and will always hold in our hearts. May they always be a guiding light that will help us now and in the future. So watch over us all as a family and help us to grow and support each other at this difficult time. And we make this prayer in your name. Amen. All right, Fabian.
Thank you, Father Mark. So we're gonna shift a little bit. I'm gonna show a quick video. It's kind of a goofy video, Beauty and the Beast, about wearing your mask. It's 2 minutes, and then we'll go into playing 2 videos that we made at Homeboy. So we'll start with this one. Hopefully you all can see it and hear it. Let me share my screen. Again, it's only 2 minutes, so it should be quick.
Wear a mask, wear a mask. Is this really much to ask? Your face, oh, it's the simplest of tasks. At the gym, at the store, don't treat it like such a chore. No, these mandates are malicious. All your theories are fictitious. Stop the lies, stop the fights. No one's taking away your rights. All this speculation makes me need a flask. Come on and read some data. All you masturbators, wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask.
It's a mask, it's a mask. Heaven's sakes, it's just a mask. Such a shame that asking folks to follow rules gets you harassed. You can shout, you can glare, but listen, Karen, I don't care. Never seen folks so dramatic over a fucking piece of fabric. Hard to breathe, feels too hot. Quit your bitching, there's a thought. Suck a top, and don't you give me any sass. We've got a lot to do, and it's not just the flu. So wear a mask. Wear a mask. Wear a mask.
Going for work. She put that shit on the side and got on some other shit.
It's all we ask. All you sit, watching Fox, ignoring science and the docs. Wow, your ignorance is showing as the dental keeps on growing. Case by case, test by test. Don't forget, you're not oppressed till we put this damn pandemic in the past. Try not to be so grouchy, have some faith in Fauci. Wear a mask, wear a mask, wash your hands and wear a mask.
And now I'm gonna share the some videos we did at Homeboy. These were actually put together by the LOC. There's 2 of them. They're short 30-second videos, so let me share that. And then after this, we'll jump into some questions and answers.
That's why we don't hug, and that's why we keep our distance. So,
hey everybody, we're here at Homeboy Industries. We just want to spread the message to wear your mask. I can't stand these masks.
Right now, we're gonna just kind of do air hugs and just pat our chests and say that we love you. That's why we don't hug, and that's why we keep our distance. So mask up and don't share airspace with each other. And much love.
I'm not doing it for me. I'm actually doing it for you and our community.
Second one.
I wear my mask because I don't want to be selfish. Not only to keep safe, but make sure that others are safe. Because I care about my family, and I also care about you guys.
To protect my daughter that's 4 months old.
So I don't get my mom sick. But protect me from my son and my community.
For my community. For my community. Because here at Homeboys, we care about our community.
50% of people that have COVID don't even know they have COVID. Please wear your mask every day.
By wearing our masks together, we can make a difference.
We can do this, and it starts with me and you.
So we'll put these videos up on YouTube and share the link, and hopefully you all can just share them. They're easy, they're quick, and just over text amongst each other and with the community, with friends and family. Again, like everybody's been saying, the goal is to just keep everybody safe. And we don't want more people getting sick. We don't want more people being in the hospital. And it's pretty simple to stay safe, right? Like there's ways of doing it. So I'll stop there. We had a few hands raised. It was Chelsea, Veronica, and then Frankie. Do you all still have questions?
Yeah, why is OC getting the vaccine before LA? If OC is on like a lower level tier and like they still have like their bars and nightclubs open and things like that, you would think that since we have higher cases that we need the vaccine before them.
Yeah, that question for me, I don't believe that that's necessarily the truth. Not at this point. No one has the vaccines yet. I do know that LA, we have 500,000 people. Our county has 500,000 people infected. Riverside, San Bernardino, OC, they only have about 100,000 people that are infected. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to have, sufficient vaccine come to LA. I don't think they're going to get it before us. I don't know where.
Well, I've seen on the news before this webinar, whatever started, that they're getting it next Tuesday on the 15th.
Well, that doesn't mean that we're not getting. So I'm not sure about news. News, people say all kinds of things. We've heard it all year, not necessarily up to date. So I would just pretty much at this moment, just sort of stay tuned and sort of see. But I know LA will receive quite a bit of vaccine.
Yeah, and if I can add to it, so that's kind of the problem with everything around us in our community, right? Like that's why LOC exists. That's why the government relations team exists at Homeboys, to really push on government to make sure that we get our equal share, right? We push on policy, we push on the supervisor and elected officials, and we try to mobilize the community, because if you look at the statistics, Black and brown people are getting sick at a higher rate. Brown people are dying at a higher rate. 2 to 4 times the amount. Yeah, and that's not fair, right? That's not okay. We're not less valuable in any way than anybody else. We're all equal. And it could be, right now we're talking about COVID. It could be simple things, right? Like how come some communities have speed bumps?
How does the bastard orphan,
Sorry, let me stop that.
and the Scotsman dropped in the middle of a forgotten.
Can you guys hear that background noise?
Providence of poverty.
Yes.
But we can hear you.
We could hear it. I think that you could mute people.
Or Fabian, you can just keep talking.
Can everybody stay muted?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So that's not okay, right? Like, we need to make sure that we're pushing and advocating so that we get everything at the same time, just as in other communities. So we're working on that. And with the vaccine, we're going to be on. We're going to try to make sure if Homeboy is able to push on the elected officials to get it to Homeboy, we're going to try to do that. At the same time as everybody else, right? We're not going to just sit back and be okay with other people getting it first. So we'll be there to support the community to make sure that it gets.
Okay, so let me just clarify. Depending on the vaccine that's available, some of the vaccines require freezing of negative 100 degrees. So we don't have the capacity at Homeboys. We don't have a freezer. But if they have a mobile unit that has the freezer, then we'll be able to bring it to Homeboys. But at this point, that's for one vaccine. The other vaccine or the other ones that are being developed may not need those extreme temperatures to be maintained, right? So we have to clarify that as well.
Cool. Frankie, you had a question as well?
More of information. If you guys are getting haircuts, do not let them cut your nose hairs. It acts as a self-defense mechanism. That's it.
Question.
Veronica.
Question for Troy.
Yes.
Hi, Troy. So what
Hey,
about like, okay, hello. What about if all the beds, like there's no room for like beds and like if you just want to have a baby and have your baby like at home, you know, but like have someone help you out to have the baby, like what do you call those? Not a maternity, like you know,
Midwife.
A doula. A midwife or a doula. Right? Doula or midwife?
a midwife, yeah.
A midwife.
Yeah. Yes. So in that case, you'd have to find out, your doctor, your obstetrician would have an idea of, see, now being in the OB-GYN department is different than being in the regular emergency room and the urgent care or the ICU. So you will have to confirm, but there will probably be beds available if you're going to deliver your child. Those beds are not going to be consumed by COVID patients. That's a completely different location in the hospital. So, but if you want the option, then you talk to your obstetrician to find out if you can have either a midwife or a doula come to your home. And that'll be done primarily, everything works out, you know, natural birth has been happening for centuries. So it works well if the birth is normal, natural, goes fine. But if not, if there's a complication or you're going to need an injection, then you need to go to the hospital in order to get that done. So that's something that you have to decide and figure out, or for that woman who's deciding that. But the obstetrician and the hospital should have beds available if you are about to deliver your child.
What will you think? Is it safer at the hospital or at home, like dealing with like all like?
Okay, to be honest, I feel staying away from the hospital is the best thing you can do, right? I had one family member get attacked by a Rottweiler. One. Went to the hospital. They ended up getting COVID, but the whole family got COVID. So all I'm saying is that you want to stay away from the hospital if possible. You don't want any reason, any nonsense at all, or any medical reason to be going near the hospital at this time. So, but that's going to be a decision that if the woman is healthy and she discusses it with her obstetrician, then have a midwife come to the house. If that midwife wants to come, right? But have a doula or a midwife come to the house and have the delivery. I mean, I think that's an open option. But you just want to confirm that your delivery, is going well. Because if it doesn't go well, will the doula have the obstetrician is there to make sure that if there's any complications and you're in the hospital, things can be taken care of immediately. If you need a C-section, if the baby desats, unable to breathe, cords wrapped around the baby's neck, all the emergent reasons. That's why you're in the hospital. Or if you want to get a
my
C-section.
baby's fine. The baby's like fine. She'll just come whenever she wants to come, but I'd rather have her at home than with all this, like crazy stuff going on. So I'd rather just wait for when the baby's ready to come out.
Right. So see if the obstetrician has recommendations for a doula or a midwife.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Troy.
I
have a question.
Go for it.
First of all, what's up, Troy? How you doing, my
What's
brother?
up, G?
I miss you, and I don't miss your machine, but I miss you, bro.
Let me see them eyelids, how they look.
Nah, bro, you can't even see nothing no more.
Anything. Looking
Hey,
good.
but hello, my homeboy family. I see a lot of new faces. Welcome to homeboys. This place changed my life drastically. My question is, so in February, how would I know if I had the virus already before it was declared? This virus was declared a pandemic? Because in February, I was so sick, like the sickest I've been in my whole life. I went to the hospital and they didn't test me for COVID because at that time there was no pandemic. So they just but it was around. But they just said I had pneumonia and they gave me medication for pneumonia. I got better, but I was out for the count for like 3 weeks. I had all the symptoms.
You may have had COVID.
Yeah, I believe so.
You may have had it. So the only reason they're going to be able to only way they can find out is if they do something called titers. They draw your blood and they check to see if you have any antibodies or respond if you've ever had the virus before. That's how they would tell. But at this point, if you've had the virus in February, from their research, the antibodies don't last more than about 3 months. So you would still want to get the vaccine. And because what you want to do by getting if you've already had the virus, which a lot of us may have, because actually this virus they were talking about this stuff in November, December, so me and Marvin, half of us probably were exposed to something anyway, because we were all feeling sick. So what may happen though is if your body has ever had exposure, it has memory. Your immunity has memory. Now, if you get a vaccine, that'll give you a double boost for memory. So then that'll help you, that'll give you even more of an army to fight the virus if you get it again. So you still want to get the virus. I mean, you still want to get the vaccine at this point.
All right, cool. Thank you, Troy.
You're welcome, man.
Troy, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so I took my test last week on Wednesday and I got it back. It's negative.
Yes.
And I retook it on Monday. But like you say, you don't have to really take it if you don't come in contact with people. But what if the people that you do come in contact might have it and carry it? How often do you think we should take it?
Right. So I don't until we get a rapid test where we can just do a dipstick. You don't have to take the test every okay. For homeboys or for employers, they may recommend or say you need to take it weekly, because we don't know what you guys do on the weekends. I mean, we know, but we just need to make sure that you take a test weekly. That's by the employer. But if you're not going in, what you want to do is if you're in a closed environment with other people, or if you've been around other people, that you have to assume everybody has the virus. Everybody has the COVID cooties. You got to assume it, and
Right.
tag you're it ain't going to work. So you need to make sure that if you have been exposed to a group of people, okay, or if you've been around even one person who's been sick, coughing on you, or you think that you've been in just an environment that you may have been exposed, get the test. Especially if you live at home with babies or elderly or someone who's at risk, then you want to make sure you have the test and get it done weekly if you're exposing yourself. But if you're not exposing yourself to groups of people without your mask and taking those preventive measures, washing your hands, then you don't have to take the test every week if you're not going into your job that doesn't require it.
Yeah, no, that's why I took it. I took it last week, so I took it on Wednesday just for my own safety, and then I took it on Monday because I still didn't have the results, and I got a little part-time job just so I could get out the place and Christmas.
Right.
So they
and
told
the
me at
thing
work,
about
you can't
right,
come back till you give us the results, and I was like, all right.
Right.
So, but I worry because my mom, she lives in a shelter, so I go see her.
Right. Okay. Then you have to get it. If she's in
Yeah.
shelter, you want to get it. But
Yeah.
you got to make sure your mom is all right too. So I don't know if they're testing mom.
Yeah, they make them take it. Mhm.
Okay.
It's mandatory there.
So what has happened is that you guys know we get the 2,000 to 3,000 people dying a day a couple weeks after the holidays, after Halloween, then again after Thanksgiving, and it's going to happen again after Christmas, and then after New Year's, because these are all times that people are going to get together. So we're going to have more spikes, right? And when you have humidity in the air, when you have cloudy days and more fog in the air, that's going to sustain those fomites, that virus in the air. So you'll be able to inhale that easier, right? So again, it's just an opportunity for the virus to go buck wild. So you just got to be more take precautions and prevent it more. And we don't know this yet, but it is very well possible that they may mandate the vaccine. So that means if you don't believe in the vaccine, and there are people that don't believe in it, you may not be able to live the life you want to unless you take that vaccine. Every employer may require it. If you want to hop on an airplane, hop on the train, go into a restaurant, okay, go to your children's school, they may say, I need to see proof that you've taken this vaccine. So we don't know. That has not been mandated, but that may happen. So we're all going to be forced to take this vaccine at some point, but we all want to stay healthy. I mean, this time next year, I want to have 100 patients coming to that tattoo removal. I want to see every single one of you coming to that tattoo removal program. We'll get back to normal. It's just going to take some time.
What's up, Troy?
What's up, you? How you
I
doing?
have another question. If a foster parent knows that they if a foster parent has a relative who had the COVID and then they purposely threaten to expose the child, and then they actually carry those threats out, what can be done? And now the kid has COVID.
See, so someone want to answer that?
My kid. I had court, and days before the court, the aunt who has my daughter, her husband had it, and my daughter and her were not even in his proximity. And then she called me up and she threatened to purposely expose my daughter, and then she actually did that. And now my daughter has been stuck on quarantine and not coming home to me because she was being resistant at first. The aunt had it, and my daughter's body was being resistant, so she was testing negative, and now she just tested positive and she has the virus. And I'm wondering, is there a way to criminally press charges against this lady?
Well, I think that there have been some legal suits. There are some legalities going on right now regarding those kinds of situations. So you should probably talk to Donna, the lawyer, and make sure and find out what the up-to-date issue is with that, because it's not just using it as a threat, but also people taking the mask off and trying to cough in your face on to intentionally trying to start something. That has happened too. So these things are happening, but I don't think there haven't been, it's not like they have defined some sort of law that prevents people from doing that yet. But I think you should talk to Donna, the lawyer, to see if there's anything happening right now regarding that, because this is happening in the environment right now.
Okay, thank you.
Patrick.
Hey, Troy, don't nobody listen.
I know.
Don't nobody listen. That's why we back in this crap as it is now. Don't nobody want to listen. Everybody want to do what they want to do.
Well, I mean, it's because it's invisible. It's not like Ebola. Ebola, if you get sick, blood comes from your eyes and your ears and your nose and every orifice. You'll stop. You'll take protection. But this is just
Troy,
another
is this
virus.
airborne? Is this like
Yes.
airborne? Because when you
It's
spit on
airborne.
somebody, like you're literally spitting on them. So, like today, I wear 2 masks and I wear gloves. I have my disinfect. I have a disinfect spray. So this is airborne.
Yes, it's airborne. It goes in the respiratory system. It is airborne. You inhale it. Or if you take that chocolate chip cookie without washing your hands and you happen to have virus on it, that's possible as well. It lives on the surface. If you sneeze, it's on the surface. If you don't wash your hands and grab the doorknob, it's on the surface. So you just got to make sure before you put anything in your mouth, wash your hands.
It is on the surface, huh? Because I
Clean your
sprayed my nose
surfaces.
with disinfect and Clorox.
Clean your surfaces. But yes, inhaling it is how it's spread.
You guys, I just want to say that I'm so glad to see everybody engaged in this conversation. I know in the beginning, like Troy said, it was really hard to see how serious this was because not everybody gets very sick, and it was very difficult to understand how it spreads. But as each month goes on, there's so many people at Homeboy who have been directly or indirectly affected. I'm really grateful for Boris to share his story of the loss of his mom. He's not the only one on here who has lost people to COVID. And each week it's becoming more and more close to all of us. And it's really, really spreading so quickly now. And the story that Donna shared is also not unique about a small group of family and friends. They all knew each other. One person was infected without knowing it. And then all of these other people throughout the town were infected or died. And we need to keep that in mind, because what it is it's affecting our loved ones. And like Donna said, people we never intend to know. It can be someone I've never even met. It could be my brother goes to his friend and that person dies. On Monday, my brother's girlfriend's coworker died of COVID. This weekend, a staff member's ex-husband died of COVID. There's a lot of infection right now and a lot of death, and we don't know who it's going to affect in what way. All of us have different health conditions, and maybe we have underlying health conditions that will make it worse for us if we get it, or for our parents or grandparents or loved ones. We don't know who's going to just have it like a flu and recover quickly, and who's going to be sick for months. I know there's a trainee on here who shared last week that she had it earlier in the year and was sick for 3 months and couldn't see her children for 3 months. It's devastating. So I hope that everybody's taking this very seriously. I love that Fabian and Van and Jessica have created this opportunity to share information, and we just need to be really careful. And I want everybody to stay safe, and we want everybody to stay healthy. And the sooner we can get this over with, the sooner we can get back to our normal or somewhat normal lives. But it takes all of us really paying attention and taking care of ourselves and one another. So thank you.
Cool,
Can I share something?
So a few months back, my wife just had her baby, right? And
It just started hurting.
hold on. And a few months ago, my wife had COVID and she was pregnant. And I never believed in COVID because I thought it was all a hoax or whatever,
It
right?
hurts so bad right now.
And a while back, once she got it, then I figured, oh shit, it was real. But the way she got it was we take care of two elderly grandparents. And I don't know how the grandmother got it. She doesn't go nowhere, but she infected the whole house. And I ended up coming down with it. And I was asymptomatic. I didn't think, like, once again, I didn't think it was real until my wife came down with it. And we went to the doctors. The doctor said the baby will be fine. She just has to quarantine and take serious, like, drastic measures, you know? A month or two went by, and the grandfather that we take care of was on hospice. He was the only one in the house that didn't get infected by it. And it was weird because, like I said, everybody was infected, you know? And he ended up passing the day before Thanksgiving, but due to old age, at least we think it is. You know, we never found out exactly how he died. But it's real, you know, like a month ago I had my childhood friends, two of my childhood friends, his father passed away of COVID. He came home from work one day, went to sleep, and just stopped breathing. And the other one, his grandfather was working on the yard and he fell out. And turns out those were both due to COVID. Something about the respiratory system just shut down on him, you know? So that's just something I had to get off my chest, you know, it's eating me up.
Thank you, Patrick. Ben, do you want to share a little bit about the tabling and where people can get masks and sanitizer if they need it?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Fabian. Thank you so much for that, Patrick. And Boris, you know we love you. I want to thank everybody for speaking, but I want to make it brief. So some of you guys know that we've been in the front with our table, passing out safety equipment, our PPEs, and Fabian's been working really hard on getting these equipment. So please come by and pick them up for yourself, for your family and friends, for anybody in the community that needs it. We were there yesterday. We're going to be back again tomorrow. So Thursday, tomorrow at 11 to 1 p.m. And next week, Thursday and Friday, same time, 11 to 1. So we're passing out face shields. I know that I didn't hear anything about the face shields, but people do ask. If you wear the face shields, it doesn't mean that you don't have to wear the mask. Dr. Troy gave really great information about how it's passed. And the bottom line is that there's a lot that we don't know, right? We can't really focus on the things we don't know. We have to really concentrate on what we do know, and that, like Patrick said, and so many others, that it's real. It's getting our community sick. And I've said it before that it's very much like catching a case for our community. If we get sick, it's like catching a case where it's much worse for us, right? We don't have the resources, and a lot of us, you know, because of all of the problems that we have already, makes it worse. So yeah, it's very important. We talk about the vaccines, but it's months away, and also it's a lose-lose situation. If we're sick, we got to be super cautious, and if we're healthy, it means that we could be most likely asymptomatic, or when we're most infectious, when we're most likely to spread, it's when we don't even see any symptoms. So either way, we need help from everybody. Like Marissa said, we have to do this together. Individually, it's really hard to beat this. We'll run around in circles forever, but we can only do what we can do as a family, as a homeboy family. We're there tomorrow. I'm so happy for the information we got today. But at the end of the day, when this ends, we have to start taking the actions. And so, yeah, mask up. Like Father G says, mask up. You know, we're going to be there tomorrow. We're giving out hand sanitizers. Also, keep in mind that a lot of us, we wear the fabric masks, right? And they are safe. The ones that have the pockets, people put filters in them. So medical grade filters, but without them, the county safety people, they said that it's really not enough and it's not approved at Homeboy. So come by and pick up the, you know what I'm talking about, the disposable, the paper ones. Those are the ones that are known and approved to be safe. So when you come by Homeboy Industries, please wear those. If you want to wear the other mask, wear the disposable ones underneath or on top of that. It's more effective to have it underneath, right? To have it closer to your face and skin. Also be aware that the mask can only protect our openings that we breathe air in, but also we can pass it, like Dr. Troy said, through contact. And so always, I'm going to be passing out hand sanitizer. So use that regularly. I know it's not, it dries up your hand. Mine are all, all tore up, but it's better safe than sorry. So yeah, I know that our session is over, but any questions, really quick one, I can answer it. But yeah, see me tomorrow, 11 to 1. Thank you, everybody.
Got it.
Thank you, Van.
Anybody else? Any final questions? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. If you still have questions afterwards or need more information, hit me up or hit Van up or walk up to the table and get more resources. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Be careful.
Isaiah, did you have a question? No? Okay.